Okay, folks, we'll get things underway here. Appreciate everybody being either early or on time, and obviously appreciate you all taking time out of your day to join us here. This is the Western Hockey League's 2023 Annual General Meeting, media availability with WHL Commissioner Ron Robison. My name is Taylor Roca. I'm the Director of Communications with the Western Hockey League, and I'll be hosting the proceedings today. So just some housekeeping notes off the top before we get going. We'll have some opening remarks from Commissioner Robison. And at that point, once he has completed his opening remarks, we'll then open it up to the group for questions. So I'm sure we're all very familiar with Zoom after the last few years here. So I would just ask that everyone be mindful and use your etiquette within the call, just for the sake of maintaining the integrity of the audio and maintaining some semblance of order through these question period. So if you do have a question, I would ask you to please just use the raise a hand function within Zoom. That'll allow me to maintain some order and make sure that we get through all the questions that everybody has. And if you're not able to use the raise a hand function, please just use the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Send me a quick note and I'll add you to my list. So outside of that, we are recording the call here locally. Both full audio and video files will be made available to media at the conclusion of this. So if you do need that, know that that resource will be made available to you shortly after we're finished here today. So without any further ado, I will introduce WHL Commissioner Ron Robison for opening remarks. Take it away, Ron.
Thanks very much, Taylor. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. I want to start by saying that we just concluded, as Taylor mentioned, our 2003 annual meeting here in Calgary yesterday, and we wanted to bring you up to date on some of the highlights, if you will, of the 22-23 season. I'll start by congratulating the Kamloops Blazers, in particular the ownership group led by Tom Ghilardi, along with Daryl Sador, Mark Recchi, Jerome McGinley, Shane Doan, all who were very actively engaged with this year's staging of the Memorial Cup in Kamloops. It was a fantastic event in every respect. The community did an outstanding job of staging the event, led by the Blazers organization themselves, Norm Daly and the staff, along with the organizing committee led by Yves Lacasse, and a terrific group of volunteers who went out of their way to make sure the event was very, very successful. So we'd like to pass on our congratulations to the Blazer organization, the city of Kamloops, for a wonderful job with the hosting of the 2023 Memorial Cup. Also like to congratulate the Seattle Thunderbirds on winning the WHL Championship in convincing style, winning the championship series in 5 games over a very, very competitive Winnipeg Ice franchise. And we certainly salute the fact that Seattle has won 2 WHL championships in the past 6 seasons, and congratulations to their ownership and their organization on a job well done this season. We're looking forward to this year in our next season in many respects, but looking back on the 22-23 season, we were very pleased with the recovery from the pre-COVID from an attendance standpoint. We are now starting to back to pre-COVID levels on attendance. Locally, the support from a sponsorship point of view from companies in the local communities has been very strong, and it's allowed our teams to get a little bit more stability as a result of the difficult time, of course, they went through during the COVID period. But it's very encouraging to see our regular season attendance increase significantly, as well as our playoff attendance, and certainly the impact of Connor Bedard and with the Regina Pats this season had a large part, of course, with that recovery as well. We're looking forward to this year's NHL draft. We believe, anticipating that this will be arguably one of the best drafts in the history of the Western Hockey League. We've got some outstanding young prospects that will certainly go high in the draft. We have 12 skaters ranked among the top 32 in North America, along with 2 goaltenders in the top 5. So we're very, very excited about the outcome of this year, and certainly when you consider the impact of Connor Bedard, but also this entire draft class on this league has really demonstrated that this league is not only a world-leading development league, but is really focused on speed and skill, and that was demonstrated throughout the course of the season. We're also very pleased to welcome Wenatchee to the Western Hockey League. Wenatchee, Washington has been a very successful franchise at different levels of junior hockey, and we believe they're more than ready to compete at our level. And the market is over 100,000 people. It's a 4,300 seat facility. We believe it's ideally suited for the Western Hockey League. It will be a great addition to our U.S. division. Our 2023-2024 schedule will be released next Tuesday, June 27th. I know everyone's anticipating that because of the rivalries and the great rivalries we have in all of our divisions. One of the uniquenesses will be this year that the Swift Current Broncos will remain in the Central Division as opposed to the East Division. They will remain in the Central Division in large part due to the fact that the U.S. teams are traveling to the Central Division this year, and we haven't had the opportunity to have Swift Current host U.S. teams since the 2018-19 season. So this will give them an opportunity to be part of that. And then next season, for the 24-25 season, Swift Current will revert back to the East Division. So this year they will be in Central, and next year in the East Division. We are obviously very, very pleased with the overall work that our clubs do. They continue to go above and beyond and demonstrate that we are clearly the world's premier junior hockey league. Our work in the area of development is really illustrated by this year's draft class. But the work they do in providing a first-class player experience is certainly been well known for many, many years, and they continue to do so. Our commitment to education is demonstrated by the fact that we're celebrating our 30th year of the WHL Scholarship Program with over 7,500 graduates taking advantage of that scholarship program. And of course, $33 million invested by our ownership to make that program happen for the players. So all in all, a tremendous commitment to education. In the area of respect, we believe we are leaders in providing a very comprehensive respect in hockey program that promotes a safe and positive environment at all times for our players and for all participants in the league. And we're very pleased with the work that our clubs are doing in this regard. And then finally, our community engagement. Not only have we enhanced our fan experience from a point of view of all of our locations, but the engagement with the community is extremely important, and our clubs do an excellent job in that particular area. So we are looking forward to the upcoming season. We've got a lot of work to do between now and then. As you know, it's going to be my final season as commissioner of the Western Hockey League. I've been honored to be in this position now for by the end of my contract next year, 24 seasons, and I appreciate the confidence that the Western Hockey League club owners have had in my time here. But I think particularly pleased with the fact that our clubs have really established ourselves as world leaders in so many of these areas, and so important to the player experience and the experience our fans have as well in arenas throughout the Western Hockey League. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll pass it back to Taylor for some questions.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Ron. All right. So as Ron mentioned, we'll now open it up to questions. So as I had said off the top, if you do have a question for the commissioner, I would ask you to please just identify yourself using the raise a hand function. And then once called upon, please feel free to unmute your microphone and go ahead. So we'll open it up, and we'll send the first question to Perry Bergson with the Brandon Sun. Perry, go ahead.
Ron, why now?
Sorry, what was the question?
Why is this the time to step away?
Well, first of all, Perry, as you're probably aware, I've been at this for a long time. This will be my 44th year coming up in the system, 20 years with Hockey Canada, 24 with the Western Hockey League. I think it's time to step aside and let others have an opportunity to have a ability to run this great league. I've been very fortunate in my career to have some great experiences, work with some great people. We're well positioned here for succession, and I think that it's time. The right time is now. And the commitment I made to the league was to make sure post COVID that I remained here until we saw the recovery trending in the right direction. And I think the ongoing stability of our teams has been the focus for myself and for the ownership. And I feel good about where we'll be at the end of next season.
Thanks.
Thank you, Perry. Next question will go to Taylor Shire with the Regina Leader Post. Go ahead, Taylor.
Hey, Ron. First of all, congratulations on a pretty stellar career in the WHL. When you look back at the 24 years or 23 years, what legacy do you hope to have left behind it? And what are you most proud of accomplishing in your time?
Well, I think there's a number of things. First of all, and this is a credit to the ownership, not to me. This is as well as our staff who've done just an incredible job. The commitment that is made by our teams and by this league office is really extraordinary when you get an opportunity to work in the league. But I look at a number of things. I look at how we've enhanced the player experience through a real commitment to providing a world-class development experience for the players, the level of competition, the commitment to style of play, and making sure the players are getting that type of opportunity, I think is a source of pride for all of us. I think the work we've done to establish standards, especially in the area of facilities, we've had over $400 million invested by facilities and municipalities across the Western Hockey League, including new facilities in locations like Moose Jaw and Medicine Hat. These are facilities that are going to serve not only the community well, but our teams and especially the players. And it's also helped us enhance the fan experience at the same time. So I think those are some of the highlights. I've been very, very fortunate to have this opportunity and look forward to my final season. But I think when you really break it down, it's all about the players and their experience for first and foremost for all of us.
When you think back to being a kid in Indian Head, did you ever think you'd have a career this long in hockey? And was that always the goal?
I was just hoping to make it to Regina to watch the Pats play from time to time when I was growing up. But I think, when your hockey career falls short from a playing standpoint, you look to see how you can stay involved. And I really was interested in the business and administration side of the game. And of course, keenly interested in the game itself always. But I really wanted to grow the game and to have an opportunity to work with Hockey Canada, both nationally, internationally for many years, and then come to this league and help it grow as well. And I feel good about the fact that we've taken some pretty significant steps, but I never envisioned that I'd have a career this long or be fortunate enough to work with such a great league as the Western Hockey League.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. All right, next question we'll head to Glenn Dreyfus with the Hockey News. Go ahead, Glenn.
Ron, thank you for this. And my question for you is, what type of ongoing relationship does the WHL have with the Seattle Kraken? And how do you think having an NHL team in the region has affected positively or negatively your US-based teams?
Well, we're extremely fortunate, first of all, to have an NHL franchise in the Pacific Northwest and based in Seattle. And from the outset, Todd Lewicki, his management group, have been tremendous partners to our teams in the Pacific Northwest, and especially those in the Seattle area. When you look at the game itself, having a new NHL franchise in the Pacific Northwest, which is long overdue, in my opinion, has really helped elevate the game, the awareness of the game. Despite the fact it's only a few hours south of the Canadian border, it really has taken a while for hockey to grow in all markets in the Pacific Northwest region. But the Kraken commitment to working with our clubs to continue to grow the game in this area will certainly serve, I think, to produce not only players in that area, but a great fan base as well. So it's really served to enhance our franchises, and was one of the key considerations, quite frankly, when we considered Wenatchee, because of the growth of interest in hockey, in large part due to the great work our teams do, and now combined with the Kraken, it's a very strong presence for hockey in the Pacific Northwest.
Do you kind of see the fan bases as distinct, or is it one great melting pot of hockey interest in the Pacific Northwest?
Well, I think it just leads to more awareness of what a great sport hockey is, first and foremost, because of the profile of the National Hockey League, broadcast opportunities. I think it just serves generally to grow interest in the game. And when you consider the fact that, yes, there's certainly different markets. We find our product to be extremely attractive because it's family affordable, and we've got tremendous facilities. We're positioned very well in the Seattle market, for instance, with Everett to the north, and Seattle, of course, operating out of Kent to the south. So we're positioned for this, and it's been very complimentary, and I think it's going to grow interest in the game. And most importantly, I think you're going to see an awful lot of hockey. Good athletes convert to hockey, and you're going to see the Pacific Northwest producing some high caliber players in the future.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Glenn. All right, next question, we'll head to James Tubb with the Medicine Hat News. Go ahead, James.
Thanks. Ron, with the increased attendance this season in the Western Hockey League, obviously Connor Bedard playing a big part in that, but was there any direction from the league to the teams on how to increase community engagement this season? And is there any more direction heading into this upcoming season on how to maintain those attendance numbers?
Well, community engagement is a critical factor for all of our clubs. And of course, through COVID, it was extremely difficult to accomplish what we normally would. But supporting the communities and having our players engaged in the communities is extremely important. We're going to continue to be very active in that area. And as our clubs have always been, I think it's great as well for the players to have the opportunity to engage in the community, because not only we're playing in the Western Hockey League do you develop your hockey skills, if you will, but those life skills and the confidence that they gain by working in the community is extremely important for their development overall.
I just got one more. Were there any other teams interested in the Winnipeg Ice franchise, or was it just the Wenatchee Wild?
Other markets, yes, there was other markets. We always have ongoing interest. One of our objectives was to balance our conferences. As you know, that's been a bit of a challenge for us, with 12 in the Eastern Conference for many years, along with 10 in the Western Conference. So one of our objectives was to look at markets in the US and BC to see what would be available. And Wenatchee was the one that we chose ultimately. And we think it's going to be a great fit in the Western Conference.
Perfect. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. All right, next question, I've got Perry Bergson. Go ahead, Perry.
Ron, being in the job as long as you've been in the job, what are the challenges that are going to face your successor? What's next on the horizon?
Well, I think a number of things. First of all, I think our ability to continue to attract the top players. We do a great job in Western Canada. I think there's going to be much more emphasis placed now with 6 teams in the US on our US recruiting of players. I think there's a lot of upside for our teams in that regard. And because we offer the best development for players of junior age anywhere in North America and anywhere arguably in the world. So I think that player recruitment part is going to continue to, with 22 teams, we have to continue to make sure that we're attracting the top talent. And we're doing a real good job from a Canadian perspective, but we can certainly expand efforts in the US. I think the other part of it is the sustainability of our franchises. We have a very unique league, as you're well aware, with small markets competing with large markets, and the economics of running these teams are really challenging for the small market teams, and that's something we're going to be paying a very close attention to, looking at our business model to make sure that all teams can continue to be viable on a long-term basis. So I think those are probably the top 2 challenges right now that I would envision moving forward.
What does the hiring process look like?
Well, the Board of Governors are just starting that process right now, and they'll have further information on how the transition will be handled. I'm sure there'll be something forthcoming here not too long.
Before I let my friend Nathan on here, one more question. What did you learn from what happened in Winnipeg? How is this going to change what the WHL does moving forward?
Well, I think the Winnipeg scenario was really all about the facility. As you know, in our league, we have very clear requirements for facility standards, and if those standards aren't met, then we have to look at alternate locations. And in this particular case, we probably should have had a more firm commitment on the facility as far as construction underway, that type of thing, to make sure that we didn't encounter the challenges we did. It's just unfortunate that we didn't get to a position where we had a facility of standard of Winnipeg to play in, because we obviously value that market extremely high. But without that, the viability of that franchise in that market just didn't make sense to us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. All right, we'll take it to Nathan Ryder with the Prince Albert Daily Herald. Go ahead, Nathan.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I just wanted to focus on one thing about the Swift Current Broncos remaining in the Central Division for the upcoming season. I know you had mentioned in your previous comments about one of the reasons for that was Swift Current being able to host clubs from the United States Division this season. But did the timing of the relocation of the Winnipeg Ice to Wenatchee being it's in June here, I assume the schedule's close to if not entirely done. Did the timing of the relocation also play a role in keeping Swift Current in the Central Division for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think it made sense for a number of reasons. That's certainly one of them, that we were in the process of scheduling and needed to make some immediate decisions. But there was a request made, and we have to be respectful of the clubs, that the fan base in Swift Current, which has been tremendous and very loyal for many, many years, as it is in Prince Albert, quite frankly, wanted the opportunity to host those teams. It's rare that they get the chance to witness those teams, and we just felt that length of time that had been there since the 18-19 season was the last opportunity the fans at Swift Current had to watch those US-based teams. So we just felt that was a major consideration and should be accommodated this season.
Awesome. Thank you. And just yeah, I guess my final question here is that in recent seasons up before the pandemic, the WHL saw a lot of success in smaller markets, with both the Swift Current Broncos and Prince Albert Raiders capturing league championships right before the COVID season, unfortunately threw a wrench into some of the league's plans. But how important was that for you to see some smaller markets in the league achieve success during the last few years of your tenure here?
Well, I think we pride ourselves in the Western Hockey League and our clubs and the league, obviously, to always provide a level playing field. You want to make sure every team has an opportunity to win. And I think what you just pointed out, having Swift Current and Prince Albert win back-to-back championships, really demonstrated that regardless of the size of the market and the community they represent, they're more than capable of winning a WHL championship. And I think that's a real validation of the system that we currently have in place. And so we pride ourselves on making sure we have a level playing field, but that was a strong indication that we are handling things in the right way.
Perfect. Thanks, Nathan. I've got another question from Perry Bergson. Go ahead, Perry. Perry, I think you're still on mute there. So if you want to unmute, you're free to go.
Okay, am I good now?
You're good.
Okay. Ron, what's your next year look like? You know, are there things you're still hoping to accomplish? Are you going to visit different markets? What's your plan?
Well, I think there's always lots to accomplish. There's a lot of things that go on here on a day-to-day basis in the Western Hockey League. And I'm all about trying to grow the experience for everybody concerned, from, especially as I mentioned earlier, our players and our fans, and how do we continue to enhance the league. I think technology is a critical part of that. How do we make our games that much more available to more people? How do we continue to build and improve on the player experience? I think all those things are really important, and we have, I think, ongoing a lot of work ahead of us. But the the real enjoyment I've received from being part of the Western Hockey League is that everything we're doing tends to have a real impact on the players and on our communities, and I think that's a great thing, whether it's facility standards or whether it's the education programs that we have in place, or whether it's the quality of the coaching and the competition that we have in the league. I think all those things are really important. So the beauty of it is that we've got lots of work to do on the hockey side of the operation, but we also have lots of work to do on the business side as well to continue to grow the league.
Are you planning on making one last visit to every market or no?
I'm hoping to do that. Absolutely. I enjoy nothing more than to getting into the buildings, to seeing people that have made good friendships over the years with, but also watching some outstanding hockey. So we're looking forward to that for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. All right, next question goes to James Tubb with Medicine Hat News. Go ahead.
Ron, we saw at the trade deadline a lot of large moves made by a handful of teams just to build up for that playoff run, and a lot of picks moved that have left teams with very few picks in the future. Was there any discussions in the league, or will there be discussions going forward about limiting how many draft picks can be traded, or what rounds, like in the OHL, first round picks not being allowed to be traded?
Yeah, I think we definitely saw some certainly changes from previous years where teams were all in and literally all in, and as a result put themselves in a position where they were giving up a lot of their draft choices and to get there. However, you can't deny the fact that to get there and to be competitive and to win a league championship, you need to go all in. And I think we discussed it, but I think it was also a very unique circumstance this year with the hosting of the Memorial Cup and the way teams were built for the Memorial Cup. There was certainly some front runner teams, and as a result, there needed to be, I think, some additional steps taken by individual teams to be confident they'd be in a position to compete for a championship. So yeah, it's different than what we've seen in the past for sure. I don't believe we're contemplating any changes, but we're going to be monitoring how that looks moving forward. But right now, I think teams feel confident that they can find ways to replenish those draft choices and still remain competitive moving forward.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks for that, James. All right, so I don't have anybody else in my queue right now, so we'll do one last call here for questions. Otherwise, if there's nothing further, we'll shut things down. So any last questions from anybody in attendance? Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. Appreciate everybody taking time out of your day to join us here. And as I said off the top, recordings, both video and audio files will be made available and distributed through our WHL media distribution list. So if you are in need of those files, you can look out for those shortly. And if you are not on our distribution list, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get you the appropriate files that you need. My email address is Rocca, T, ROCCA, T as in Taylor, at WHL.ca. So take that down and we'll get you set with anything you need. Appreciate everybody's time. Take care.